what should patients in that setting be on the lookout for? What's kind of the next big thing coming over the next few years?
Right. Well, I think hopefully even before the next few, but maybe in the next year, I think there are novel immunotherapy combinations. And even at ASCO, there was some early data with, we've combined ipilimumab, which is a CTLA-4 inhibitor, and, nivolumab, which is a PD-1, in various combinations depending on the company. But there are several kind of new classes of immunotherapy agents that activate the immune system that are out there. I think one of the promising ones was actually presented at ASCO as a drug that targets something called TIGIT. And so, again, in that study, they were looking in the first line setting, but I think there's a lot of interest in things that target TIGIT, as well as another class of drugs that target TIM3. I think there are some early hints, at least in phase 1 and phase 2 trials, that there are combinations that may work in patients that become resistant to immunotherapy. And so I think that's kind of what we're more excited about. And then on the targeted side, so HER2 is very common in breast cancer. And well, it's also common in lung cancer, but for years we haven't really been able to target it, even with the same drugs we use in breast cancer. So you can either have a mutation in it, or you can actually have amplification, which is kind of what we see in breast cancer. And there was one drug that was presented at ASCO, which in comparison to the other drugs, which generally response rates are like 20–30%, had a response rate of greater than 60%. And so, I think we're finally getting drugs that target HER2 in lung cancer. And so I think that's exciting. So we're making progress, but I think the biggest areas are going to be what comes next after the first line, as opposed to saying, I don't think it's going to be hard for us to fundamentally move the bar too much in first line. It's good. A couple of years ago, that wasn't the case, right? When we just had chemotherapy or chemotherapy plus bevacizumab, things have come along.
Okay, perfect. Well, in terms of kind of the questions that I had prepared, I think that pretty much wraps it up. But is there something that I may not have asked or touched upon that you think is important to mention?
I think the other, to go back to ADAURA, there's two things about ADAURA. So ADAURA is a treatment, right? Osimertinib is going to be a treatment for people in the adjuvant setting. And I think that's important to show that a target therapy in the adjuvant setting may actually increase, chance of cure. But the other part of that, which I think is key, is that we all do or should be doing molecular testing in our metastatic patients. And that generally involves a next generation panel because there are a number of molecular drivers we're finding. But what ADAURA is going to do is not only get a therapy approved, again, I can't tell you the day or what week, but I would say it should be shortly, but it's going to institutionalize molecular testing for early stage patients, which we have not done in the past. Some institutions do it. For example, we do it for all our stage 3 patients because they're at such high risk. There's essentially a 70% chance that those patients are going to recur. So we'll do the molecular testing of them. But really, when this gets approved, it will really make molecular testing essentially for all lung cancer patients stage. And that will have implications not only for EGFR mutant patients, but we're also going to identify these other drivers. And there are already trials underway looking at ALK, and ALK's the most frequent one that's that, but and others as well. And so we may look back and say, well, this not only got this drug approved for this percent, 15–20% of patients, but also kind of shifted the way we think about early stage disease and can we target it.